everyone. I am London Jackson, and I will be your moderator. I am assuming you're all here for My Hero Academia. Yes? Sweet. So we have awesome panelists today, and I'm so happy they're here. I'm going to announce them. Sorry, there's no name tags, but it's fine. You all know them. It's fine. So we will have up here Justin Briner. Hey. Hey. Wow. We have J. Michael Tatum. Hey. We have Justin Cook. And we have Kellen Goff. Hey. Well, thank you guys for being up here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
there's
yes.
a lot of you. Yes.
There's so many.
How did you all get in my room?
So,
This isn't the
first off, I feel like the show has become somewhat of an overnight sensation. The manga sells like crazy, and unlike other animes that have been around, some for decades, this is just blown up. Why do you guys personally think, from working on the show, that this particular anime has blown up in the way, and how is it different maybe than the other shows out there, in your opinion?
So we're starting with the easy questions.
Wow.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
just
Keep it
rolling
light.
there. Yeah.
And how many pages did you want that, teacher?
500 words.
This show is so relatable. The characters in it are human. These are human stories. We're not just kind of being rushed into like this world where everybody is so, I don't know, just so fictionalized that it feels cartoony. This
Right.
really feels like humans. They're, yeah, right? I mean, aren't they? I think the reason why it is everybody dresses up and like picks these favorites is that they really kind of see a piece of themselves inside of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're bringing that to the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I think, to piggyback on that, it's a show about these very relatable characters who are all kind of coming into their power and learning who they are and where they kind of fit in the dynamic, and who can't relate to that. I mean, I do certainly, and it's just great to see, everyone kind of find their niche. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and it's nice to see like a whole world with superpowers, because then anybody can be a hero, and that's inspiring to real life, right?
Definitely.
Even Justin.
Yeah, even Justin.
Wow. Best boy.
We picked you last in dodgeball.
I can't believe
What?
you.
I'm
That's all
overhaul.
right,
Give me a break.
Well, I guess speaking of the hero aspect, who are the personal heroes or inspirations in your life? And whether you're a hero or villain, did that inspire your role in somehow to make each of your characters unique in your own way, your own personal inspirations?
I like this.
Wow. So deep.
Yeah.
How
it's
dare you make me
sweet.
feel something?
You're going to make me smear my eyeshadow. Well,
Jump in.
I guess we'll start from this end. My hero is and always has been my dad, because I live with autism. I'm high functioning, and he has the same thing. And he sort of, thank you. And he, Autismo brothers. And he sort of, he taught me that, just because I'm different doesn't mean that I can't function in the society and excel. And he inspired me every day to keep going with school, and he was there 100% of the way for me with voice acting. He was supportive all the way. And to this day, we still, call each other every day. I tell him what I did. He reassures me that I didn't do anything wrong, and I do the same for him. And we talk about where we traveled that day. And in that way. He didn't really inspire Overhaul because Overhaul's very the opposite in that he's a brutal murderer. But
But he's driven.
yeah, he is driven. We this is our running gag that we're not allowed to say anything about this new character, but we love that he has a drive and he has this goal and he just does it by any means necessary. And we like his character design. Yeah, but yeah, long story short, my dad.
Nice.
Oh, well, let's see. Like, you know, I'm a voice actor, and so there's voice actors that I really look up to. One of them in particular is Scatman Carruthers. If you don't know him, you gotta look him up.
Yes.
Some of the old classics, that's kind of where my heart lives. And
Yeah, it's
so,
the moon base too.
absolutely Optimus. So, yeah, anything I can do to kind of bring that voice into play. But that's who I look up to. And it just, you know, you gotta, and I think that's the beautiful thing. Every single one of you, hope you got somebody that you can look up to, that you can kind of follow in your own dreams and maybe put it into watching how some of these other folks have accomplished their dreams. Maybe somehow that could work for you guys. Love you.
Yes.
Awesome.
I've had a lot of heroes in my life, but I always feel the need to give a shout out to the women in my life. I've been very fortunate to know some very, very strong women, from my mother, my grandmother, my sister-in-law, some of my best friends. And man, if everything I know about strength has come from the women in my life. So those are my heroes.
Awesome.
Gosh, so much the same. Yeah, I was raised mostly by women. I was inspired by their fortitude and their unyielding strength. So that's always been a big driving force for me. Also, just like entertainers that have meant a lot to me growing up. Voice actors, Broadway actors, everything like that. And anyone who's getting together to collaborate and tell stories is, I think, really powerful, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
Great.
Very nice.
I think it might also be fair to say that there's a whole room full of heroes here
Yeah.
to be
Oh, yeah.
inspired by.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree with that as well. I'm just curious, did you guys, I don't know, almost research your characters before you went into voicing them? Did you read the manga? Did you look at the sub? Like, did you prepare? Or you just went in with the writing and the character just popped out? Just curious.
I think I'll jump in here. My process was, hey, Tatum, there's a character in here with glasses. Congratulations. I was like, oh, go home, everyone. This is my guy. But it was really funny. I didn't really know much about the show at all, and I usually don't do a lot of research because I try to be just very improvisorial with my acting style. I like to not, the less I know, the better, the more real my reactions tend to be in the booth. So, but man, every time I'd go in and do a session with Colleen, who's just a phenomenal director. She's
Shout out to Colleen.
Shout out to Colleen Klinkenbeard, is just one of the best in the business. Please don't tell her I said that. But she was amazing, and we would laugh together because she would laugh at something I did, and we're watching the screen, we're watching the animation, and I'm like, what? What's so funny? She's like, I've seen you do that exact thing. The thing he's doing. I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't do that. There's nothing like me, Colleen. Now, come on, we've got a timetable here. We have, yeah. And I think Colleen put it best when she said, like, Tenya is you in an airport, Tatum, and it's very true. I feel like my research was just coming to the realization that I think that creators followed me around with a sketchbook for about an hour, and were like, this is our guy. It's almost embarrassing. I'm like, that's who I am. Oh, God.
Yeah, this is an opportunity. I'm going to jump in with the compliments to Colleen, but for myself, no, there's not a lot of research that's involved. The research is allowing myself to kind of give this character and its interpretation entirely over to Colleen. So I'm clay in her hands at the beginning of every session, and by the end of it, whatever we've created, I just trust her. She really has owned the show and the casting of it. I think she's really looked for the actors that may even accidentally emulate these characters in real life. But I do think a lot of us actually share some things in common with our characters.
For example, Rico Fajardo is just Mirio.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
verbatim.
Absolutely.
There's no difference except for the hair.
Yeah.
And maybe the black eyes.
Right.
Yeah. For me, I did not research Overhaul at first. But then seeing how complex of a character he was, I thought, If this guy encounters something that normal people wouldn't bat an eye to, but he might think is one way or another, I should probably know about that to give that the performance, that he experienced that. So I read all of it, but
Confessions.
yeah. That said, there are still things that we're recording with Colleen that surprised me. It wasn't the way I would have gone, but it actually works better. So Colleen is excellent in her instincts, and I fully trust her too. I just, I like to collaborate with her in the mind circuit.
Nice.
I think many people would tell you that great actors don't research the manga or the anime, which means that I am not a great
I'm sorry,
actor.
Deku. What was that? What was that?
So I
You want to throw down?
No.
Season
I'm
4.
right there with you. I'm at camp with you, bud. I couldn't stop myself. Truly, when we heard about auditions and this show was coming out, I watched like maybe an episode or two of the anime. I really identified it with something special. Like they were telling a very unique kind of story with very profound characters. So. Then I started reading the manga, and I said, all right, just a few chapters, just to get a feel for it. 100 chapters later, where everything has happened. I can't help myself, so.
It's like candy, man.
Oh, it's so good.
That story's so good.
Could you tell us what you think is your character's best quality and their biggest character flaw?
God, it's like 2020. Who wants to start?
Deku has a flaw in that he is selfless to a fault. He will hurt himself and put himself in danger and harm's way to accomplish what he needs to do. And he will hurt himself, brutalize himself, depending on the circumstance. And he's really got to, I think, focus on taking care of himself. A little self-care goes a long way. But as for what redeems him and makes him so special, Deku is sort of a portrait of growing up with mental health and trying to figure out where you stand in the world and struggling with your self-worth and people telling you that you can't achieve your goals or dreams, you should set lower expectations, et cetera, et cetera. It goes on. And I feel like, everyone struggles with that in some capacity, especially like creative folks out there have probably heard something like that growing up. And I think Deku is great because he gives you a character to root for that you can see yourself in and that you can see growth and change and progression. And we're all sort of rooting for ourselves growing up, which is really cool.
Nice.
Thank you.
I think Tenya he's a good guy. He just wants to do right and help people. He's a little extra sometimes. He's a bit much. But I think he's a wonderful person because he's so dependable. I mean, he will be there he thinks nothing about helping someone else, even at cost to himself to some extent. He's not quite the altruist that Deku is. But I think his flaw is having to learn to trust his friends to not always need him to make sure that they can do the right thing. He has a trust issue with people like, it's hard for him to believe that anyone else can do right without him there reminding them to do it. So he's a bit of a micromanager in that sense, and I think it just comes from a place of he's not sure about his own worth, so he wants to make sure that he's the one going, hey, you guys know that you have to do this right? Okay, cool. Thank God I was here, kind of thing. And so he's a good guy. It comes from a good place, but that's been his journey is learning how to let his friends take their own journey.
Nice. Okay.
Kirishima's redeeming qualities, he's got a heart of gold. This is...
Probably get that hard too.
Hashtag, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Hashtag Kirishima cares. But the trouble that Kirishima's got, and I think Deku shares a little of this too, but he sometimes can't see the forest for the trees kind of a thing into the details, to the extent that he'll forget even to turn the quirk off when he's trapped in the wall. So sometimes having a Bakugo there to help remind you, hey, there's the simple stuff. It's good to have a friend like that.
What's good about Kai?
Yeah, go on.
Well, Kai is I was talking before, Kai is very driven, and he'll I don't know what we're allowed to say. Colleen usually glares at me at this point. But someone who's that focused on a goal and who's that self-assured, that's the kind of confidence I want, even though he goes about it in very questionable ways. Now his flaw is not, it's not what, I would say that his germophobia sort of hinders him a bit too much at times. Like, that's the reason he wears this, and that's the reason he always wears gloves too. He always has to have somebody fighting for him. He's afraid to get dirty. And
Colleen just sent me a picture of her glaring at you.
Okay, I'll stop there. But yeah, that's what I'd say. And now, Colleen, I'm done.
Well, going off of your character, Kellen, I just yesterday I did a panel with Jim Starlin, who created the character Thanos.
With who?
With Jim Starlin.
Oh, Jim Starlin.
And he created Thanos, and so I have Thanos on the brain. And kind of looking at your character, I kind of have Thanos vibes. Now, I don't know if you agree with that, but I feel like goals in the same way. Do you see that? Is there a difference between the goals? Probably, but
without spoiling anything, I completely agree with that statement.
Okay.
I'd say that he thinks he's doing what's best for everybody.
I see. Well,
And I will say no more, or else you'll
right.
get
I know
another
you
text.
can't.
All our phones.
So obviously there are different themes within the show. It ranges from actually defining what it takes to be a hero, and even living in a almost dangerous society and how to bring tranquility with your powers and things of that nature. What other type of themes can you see in the show that audiences maybe can notice, or is important to how the show progresses and evolves?
Yeah, there's a very well-loved episode where in the sports festival, Deku and Todoroki are fighting. Yeah. You remember that one? Yeah.
I think they do.
Maybe.
Right. So that has always really touched me very deeply, because the theme, the overwhelming theme there is that where you are, where you come from, and the circumstances that you are raised with don't determine the kind of person you are. And it shows in Todoroki's quirk. It's entirely his own, and how he makes use of it and to what extent he makes use of it is up to him and no one else. And he struggles with, I think, the weight of those expectations sometimes. And so that episode is watching him become more free and more sure of his power and his own personal strength, and not kind of having to be beholden to those who came before him. So I just think that's really special. Like, for folks growing up and watching that you are your own person, you are entirely individual, and you determine the kind of person that you get to be. I think that's really amazing.
Nice. Okay.
Thank you.
I think it's a theme that's revisited in the show a lot, but for me it definitely stands out in the Stain arc. The theme being that the line between right and wrong is not always obvious, and I think that was a really hard arc to be in. I loved my character so much, and I love Tenya, like he's me. So I have very complex feelings about him, but I would wrap it up and say I love him. And watching him go through that and make those choices, there was this moment, where he had to literally, the only way he could, in his mind, because his worldview is so regimented. This is right, this is wrong, these are the rules, these are not the rules. In that moment, the only way that he could honor his brother was by betraying everything his brother stood for. And that was such a difficult thing that he found himself in that position. And he paid a very high price for it. And thank God he had friends who he could trust to not listen to him. So that was wonderful, wonderful theme.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to you guys talk, and what's going through my head, I'm remembering the Yaoyorozu Todoroki. They were team up together, and watching the two different things that were happening there. Number one, Yaoyorozu kind of discovering her own self-worth. Of course, she's awesome, and we all know that, but her discovering that about herself was incredible. But then additionally to that, and just as touching to me, was watching Todoroki also begin to see that, and how it was that sometimes he can allow himself to overstep Endeavor style, and and so watching both of these developments, but this relationship even between the kids, as it were, but between men and women is kind of in that particular theme of how it is you can there's a better way to approach things. There's a different way, and sometimes it's not the way that the previous generation might have eased into it. So yeah, I mean, it just this whole story it's this huge onion.
Yeah.
You can peel it, keep peeling. I love these characters.
They have layers.
Layers.
I'm sorry, I was entranced by that. What was the question one more time?
What themes do you see within the show that the audience should know or look forward to in knowing the evolution and progression of the series?
Well, in season 4, we see everybody really grow up. It even reflects in the voices, and I think in that way, it's nice to see the series mature like that, like an actual timeline of a human. We kind of grow up with these kids, and they're like our kids, and that's very special. But a good theme is to know your limits. Definitely, you can definitely push, but don't end up All Might completely injuring yourself. I mean, if it just turns out that you have to save somebody else, there's nothing you can do. But definitely take care of yourself and know when it's time to, rest. Because in voice acting, if we can draw this parallel, if we scream for 8 hours, we should probably not talk for the rest of the day, the next day. Otherwise, we'll sound like this for the next session. So,
and we also cough blood.
And we also cough blood. Yeah, and that's what ninjoms are for. So just, knowing when it's time to take care of you and keeping that balance between giving and staying.
This is that public service announcement where we remind you to all take a shower at some point with the.
Yeah.
I love you. I love
Stay
you.
hydrated.
And it's Los Angeles. Drink water.
Right?
There's a fire. There's haze in the air. You gotta drink water.
All of these answers are therapeutic and needed. Thank you. Let's talk about Quirks for a minute.
Okay.
I think that is one of the most fun aspects of the whole series. So I was just wondering if there is any quirk that you could pick, either a character that your character doesn't have it, or if you would just want one in real life. What is your favorite and why?
Well, in the risk of getting away from the serious answers that we've been having, I'm stealing one of these. I love this. Brittany Karbowski came up with this one, and I use it for the rest of the year. But I would like the quirk to be able to throw a fart at somebody. They won't know who it's coming from, but they'll know it came.
She did
kind
that.
of a thing.
She said that at our panel too. She's like, yeah, if there's a fighter jet up there, you could just fill that cockpit full of fart, and then.
That's the quirk.
I just want to comment on what a treat it's been to watch this person interpret everything you say.
Yeah.
What is fart? Can you show us fart?
Of course it is.
So expressive.
I'm remembering this.
Perfect. I remember that. That's the quirk. That's how you do it. I think I want that quirk too, but I think the answer I often give is I would love the quirk of never saying the wrong thing.
Oh my goodness.
Which is not the same as always saying the right thing. I'd like the creative room to decide what that is for myself, but I would love to just know when to shut my mouth.
Good.
That's a quirk I could use.
I would like the ability to, whenever I eat something or taste something, I know exactly the ingredients and the measurements that go into it, so I can recreate it. So many times I have something, just food that's stunning, and I'm like, well, enjoy it now.
My go-to is always electrokinesis, just because there are so many things you can do with it. You can actually, thoughts are just electric signals, so you can make people think different things with electrokinesis if you have it honed enough. So yeah, I'll go for that since I can't come up with anything funny.
So before, I believe we have a little bit of time to open up a couple questions for the audience, and I'm sure you can't say much, but I know there's a new movie coming out, and there's lots of new things. So I know you can't give spoilers or anything, but what should the audience look forward to with this new film, if you can? That's
Well,
spoiler.
let me preface this by saying I don't know anything.
Okay.
But if I had to guess, if you saw the first movie, seemed like they really didn't hold back. So I imagine, what I did hear actually is that the author, Horikoshi Sensei, used part of what was planned for the end of the series in the movie. So he's taken a bit of that, and it's going to be some kind of pivotal story beat there, and he was worried, because now he's like, well, now what do I do at the end? We'll see. So that should be exciting.
Okay.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no idea. I
Okay.
think I'll be right there with you going like,
Sweet.
what happens next?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what.
I can tell you that as far as like being a fan of this series, there is no better time than right now. The amount of things that are starting to converge and come on. I mean, you've got the 4th season that's premiering both in Japan and here yesterday.
Yeah.
That's generally unprecedented. That doesn't happen very often. So, I mean, the fact that that's caught up with each other, that
We're that
there's a new
special.
movie coming up. I mean, I'm telling you, right now, there's no better time to be a fan. So,
Right.
if you know anybody, now's the time to get them involved and have them start binging episodes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did my research. A trailer just came out in Japan, and I personally am excited for a person who is coming who has wings.
I'll take it. I think we literally have time for one question, and then we're out of time.
Who has the best question?
Right there. Yes. Let's see. Do we have a mic? No. You might have to just. Yes. Hi. Yes.
What is our favorite
What's your
part
favorite
about
part about
voicing
voicing
these
the characters?
characters?
Yes.
But what?
Tuffy.
Tuffy?
Yeah. Honestly, it's coming out and seeing you guys. Like, I'm not just saying that. Like, seeing how many people like what we do is surreal. So, what's that? You guys are sick. What you need is a cure.
I got chills.
You know what? I think my favorite part about voicing Kirishima is just trying to catch that energy that he's got. I really just love that. Everything for Kirishima seems just, he's excited to be a part of it. This is awesome, kind of a thing. So, yeah, and being here kind of makes me feel the same thing. What's that? That's right, he is. What's that? I know, right? Yeah, it feels like I'm looking in a mirror.
I'm with Kellen. I think the best thing about any gig we get to do as voice actors is the fans. I mean, because it really is all about you guys, and it's so wonderful. We so often in our careers get to work on shows that we love, but that maybe don't hit as big as we'd wished. So it is such an honor and a privilege to be in a show that both we love and speaks to us as individuals, as actors, and as an audience in our own right, but also that we get to share this love with so many of you who support us. Thank you. This wouldn't happen without you guys. I mean, I like to say this, and it's absolutely true. Without you guys, we're just weirdos in a booth making funny voices. So thank you. It's very validating to know that you guys love it as much as we do, if not more so. So thank you. It's my favorite part of it.
Yeah, gosh, you all are amazing. I love telling this story that means so much to everybody. I love how everyone who engages with it is so kind and considerate and thoughtful, and it breeds such a uplifting and inspiring sort of viewership. And it's incredible. Like, this is incredible. So thank you all. It's amazing to be a part of this. Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys for coming up here and talking with all of us about the show. And thank you guys for coming to the panel. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, guys, go beyond.
Thank you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, the payload has arrived. Let's get the cast of Overwatch up here. They're going to introduce themselves as they sit down. So, panel, who are you and what are we doing here?
What's up, LA Comic-Con?
Woo!
My name is Josh Petersdorf. I play the voice of Roadhog in Overwatch, and I got one question. Are you ready to go whole hog? Yeah.
What's up, guys? I'm Chris Parson. I'm Junkrat in Overwatch. What's the name? Gladio in Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed, Rango, some Family Guy stuff. What's up, LA?
Yeah.
No, what's up, LA? That's it.
Hello, LA. I am Fyodor Chin. I am the voice of Zenyatta. Are you ready to experience tranquility?
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, LA. I'm Paul Nakauchi. I'm the voice of Hanzo. My aim is true.
Yes. Twin dragons.
And hello,
And this is Topo.
Oh, and that's Topo. And I am Jen Cohn, and this is my first con ever in LA. This is awesome.
Yeah.
And I do the voice for Farah in Overwatch, and I've got you on my radar.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for coming down, guys. You are part of the 40 million strong that currently play this game, an audience that has amassed over 2 years. And guess what? As much as this panel is about them, it's about you. There is a microphone here. We want you to ask them your questions for Overwatch. So, find your way to get down. We're going to get to you. And while you peacefully and peaceably organize yourselves, we're going to let the cast talk a little bit. So tell me about some favorite moments in terms of recording and being part of this experience. You're sitting next to me, Josh. Kick
Let's do
off.
it. I was a bearded man not so long ago. Some of you may know that.
Who is this guy?
Who is this guy?
I didn't recognize him.
Kidnapped him. You know what? The greatest part for me about Overwatch and the community has been the people. You know, it's the tagline is "It's a world worth fighting for," and I think that the saying "Heroes never die" is really appropriate because it's a powerful game with diverse characters and people from all across the world, every ethnicity, race. And stuff like that. And I really enjoy stuff like that. And I also like that I can hook people off cliffs and drop them in wells. It's pretty, yeah. Because I'm in no rush.
Just the choice of words, you know. It's a perfect day for some mayhem, you know. Thank you. You know, just so many gems. It's like I thank everybody at Blizzard for giving me the chance to say those particular words together, you know.
I am just so grateful to be in a part of a video game where I don't have to do like death sounds and exertions. It's very, very relaxing, very zen. It's a wonderful time whenever I get to do lines.
No, it's been just an amazing ride with you guys here in this game. You know, you guys are what make the game, and you have made it so popular that's the reason why we're all here. And
Thank you guys.
Suck it.
No, you guys really have been the gift of this whole experience. It's been so amazing to get to meet you all, and then to also develop our Overwatch family.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all together. I'm so excited to be with the boys and to get to hang out with you guys here in LA.
We're stoked that Jen is here too.
But let's not get it twisted. You're just as wild as we are.
Oh dear God, wilder.
If not, much worse.
Who's seen her boots? Have you seen her boots? Can we get a strut? Can we get a strut?
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do.
Yeah.
One of these days, these boots
Gonna walk all over.
Down, 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 down.
But the fun thing about New York Comic Con is because I live there and I got to wear a different pair of boots every day. And
my
usually, I can only bring one pair with me. So the stars were in the sky for this one.
Well, that's interesting because, recording a video game can be a lonely business. How often outside of cons you guys actually get to see each other or work together or, you said it's a family. Is that just coming over, making appearances or?
Well, Theo had a pool party this summer, so we were over at Theo's pool party.
Wait, you had two of them.
Yeah,
two of them.
Burbank. Yeah.
Most of I think all of us recorded solo sessions for the game. We weren't with anyone when we recorded it, which is difficult for some of the banter between me and this guy because I had no idea what he was going to sound like, and they described him as he's this crazy wastelander with an Aussie Oxbourne accent, and he's a meth junkie, loves blowing stuff up. So I was like, okay, and they're like, and you can't stand him. Go.
It's funny, and one more question from me, and then hopefully you guys have some. You mentioned not having to make death noises and stuff like that. What are some of the difficulties and what's some of like the best experiences in terms of having to get up in front of a microphone and do something like 70, 80 times just and it's like you can't even tell the difference at a certain point. So what are some of the sturm and drang or some of the fun associated with having to do that?
Well, you're asked to do death noises, like very specific death noises. Like they'll say, okay, now you're being pushed off the building and you're falling 20 stories and then you're going to splat on the ground and then we want like some death rattle at the end. Go. Those are the kind of directions that you get for death noises.
What's one of the best sounds that you've had to make?
When I play the game a lot, I was 40 away from plat this last season, right? Okay, so best in the cast, come at me, bro. And
it's true.
But the funniest thing is when you die, I'm like, I hear stuff from Roadhog all the time. Like, where did I record that? Like, what was I drinking that day? I don't know.
They left your mic on in the bathroom. I think that's what it is.
All right, we ready to go out to the crowd? You got to step over to the mic, man. I'm going to throw out some ground rules here. First of all, as you hear, they love doing their own voices. One thing we're going to ask, don't have them do another character's lines in somebody else's voice. Another thing, no cursing. No requests for cell phone messages unless you go visit them and pay them at the booth. Also, remember, you're in a crowd, so let's try to keep it respectful. Make it a question. They're going to love to hear your adoration, but let's not just make it a 5-minute, I love you, and here is why, and everything else. So with that in mind...
I'd be fine with that. That's all right.
Not to scare you away, but let's start asking some questions. Go for it, bro.
So my name is Raymond. I
Hey,
play
Ray.
Overwatch.
Hey.
What up, Ray?
You may think I play Soldier 76, but actually my main is Tracer.
Oh, okay.
So
You're
the
even more
question
annoying. He's like,
goes to all of you. When do you guys, like how you said you play Overwatch and stuff, do you guys play your characters and go online and talk to people with your voices to trick them out?
Oh yeah, all the time. I'll be like in a game and I'll be in a quick play and I'll be like, this is Optimus Prime. And they're like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, you like that voice box? You want to hear my Winston one? By my calculations, I'm a real animal, the power of science. And they're like, that's really good. What else can you do? I'm like, here's my Roadhog, like, ready to go, whole hog. And they're like, yeah, your Winston's better. That happens a lot.
I like to go to movie theaters a lot and use the voice.
You're talking too much. Put away the phone.
They do, you know?
That would really creep me out if I was in a movie with you. You're talking too much.
I like doing Chris's Junkrat just when I'm in the shower, just everything's coming up exploding. I just say that to myself.
And then I've done the experience tranquility.
They're fun to do, man. They're fun to.
The community is always very welcoming, and they love being teased. And when I stream the game a lot, sometimes people will be like, oh my God, it's you. And then other times people are like, is it really you? And I'm like, well, you'll never know if it is. Well, will you? So thank you for your question, Raymond. Yeah. Just remember, I'm not your dad. All right. Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
It's on.
Yeah. Okay. Hi, my name is Jesus. I'm a Widowmain.
Hey.
Yeah.
She's not here,
Widowmain.
unfortunately, but I was going to ask...
Look at them flick at their wrist. Look at them flick at their wrist. Turn out.
I was going to ask, what are your guys' thoughts on your own individual character's lore in Overwatch?
Individual characters' lore, did you say?
Yeah, like your own character's lore. Like, what do you guys think about it? Like, do you guys like it, or do you guys think it could be changed?
I love it. I want to know more about my dad.
Yeah.
I need to know more about my dad. All we know is that he's Sam. I need more information.
My dad.
And I love that she's complicated and that she's someone who has mother issues. And I love her lore. I think it's great.
I'd like to know more about Hanzo and Genji's, like, you know, when they were little kids and what happened and, you know, how much they fought and who was the mean older brother, who was, you know.
Yeah.
I'd like to learn more about that.
What lore? We need more, right? Who wants more Zenyatta lore?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Let them know. Jeff, are you listening? Jeff.
Right.
Butch and Sundance, the early years.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
How did it go down, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I loved how they described how Roadhog and Junkrat met in the bar, and Roadhog was just kind of like, I'm bored. I'll help you out. And he was like, come on, Rowdy, 60-40. And he's like, 50-50. Oh, no problem. I would love to see them explore that more. I think there's such a fun dynamic in that Jay and Silent Bob thing. Chris killed it on that thing on the Junkertown short, so absolutely. And I'm hoping to see more stuff like that in the future for sure. Yeah, great question, dude. Thank you. Absolutely, thank you.
Now, as actors, do the writers, producers, do they turn to you and say, hey, what do you guys maybe think? And
Oh,
or
I
they're
wish.
just,
No.
what?
I think the most creative liberty sometimes some of us get is in between some of like the exertions, and if we're going to throw in and how you're going to make the line special. They'll writing it. Michael Chu and his whole group are such an amazing staff and team of writers that they know the essence of the character, and so I think all of us do as well. So when we get a new line or anything like that, it's written probably now with the character more in mind than it was to begin with. Would you think so? Or?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
You say it's a lot of fun moving into like not even just doing the video game stuff, but like doing the shorts and the cutaway. I mean, you just talked about that. I mean, it's.
Well, the short was a blast to do and really an eye opener because you could see like, wow, this really could be its own, its own feature. I think. I mean,
there was huge reaction to the Hanzo shorts too. I mean, that was just,
And it's funny because when we go in and record it initially, it's just you in the studio, so all you have is like maybe just the picture of who Hanzo is, and so the story just sort of unfolds, without any of that, and then they put that in later. So,
yeah.
Very cool. We got another question going?
Hi, my name is Trey. I'm from Whittier.
Hey.
What up, Trey?
I actually have a question for Jen.
Okay.
If Anna reunited with her mother, what would her reaction be?
What would Farah's reaction be if
Yeah,
Anna?
Yeah, if Farah reunited with her mother, Anna, what would her reaction be?
I think she'd be thrilled to death. I think she'd be so happy. I mean, it's such a complicated relationship. I always say, like, when people ask what line would I want to make up for Farah, like if I could write a line, it's always like, Mom, I think we need a really good therapist. Like, she's...
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think it would be great. It would be awesome.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
Anybody else feel like answering that question?
Yeah.
Well, personally, I feel that Harry Potter is the worst wizard I've ever seen, so matters not.
No. I'd love to. I think the brilliance of some of the writing of Farah's storyline in particular is that it's shrouded in mystery. There's little pieces here, little pieces there, and that is the power of the universe, is that it allows the fans to both concoct and create theories, and it allows the actual universe to grow and develop around it. And I think Farah is one of those fully arced bodied characters that there's so much more to her, and I want that jetpack so bad. I want it.
Yes!
Want it. Jetpack cat, I know, right?
It's a jetpack cat.
We got another question coming in?
Yeah.
So, Junkrat, I got this nice reward for tuning you fellas in.
Do you ever shut up? That's a good McCree.
Thank you, appreciate it.
He was doing the McCree line in the game when McCree says, I'll fill in for you real quick and then I'll let you continue. I heard there's a hefty reward for bringing you two in.
Pretty good, McCree.
And basically, Roadhog's like, shut up. And McCree's like, all right, take care.
All right, so I got a quick question. What do y'all think of people who impersonate your voices? Like, do you like them? Do you think it's like something you're not sort of fine with, or do you think it's nice? Like, what's your opinion on it? Like, this is a question for all y'all.
I'm always flattered by it.
Yeah, I love it. I'm flattered. For
flattered.
sure.
Flattered. It's,
I like to dish it out too, so I could take it.
We were doing killer Billy Bobs earlier. We were just talking like statues, If you want to be a football player,
You want to be a football player, you got to get out there and throw the ball. You got to do it right.
So, I always say I'm flattered when someone does our voice impression, and then I get the question a lot, and some of us do too, of how to become a voice actor. And I always say this: when you want to become a voice actor, you want to find your own voice, and it's great to do a million impersonations, but remember, your power and your selling point is going to come from you. So you know what I mean? So believe in who you are, and doing impressions is amazing, and it's a great thing. But build your own voice too. I'm not saying you're not, absolutely. So I always make sure to remind people that too, like, hey.
But doing the impressions is good, because even though that impression of Billy Bob, I don't know what it was, but that they actually used that for a TV version of a movie that he was in. So practice your own voice and the voice of others.
But when it comes to impressions, my favorite thing is we've been doing a lot of these cons now, and sometimes Elise, May, will come out from China and join us, and we'll be sitting around the green room, and Josh and Chris will be doing like their Richard Dreyfuss impression, which is really good. But you want to hear a little?
The bodies were pulled from the water.
And so they'll be doing this, and we'll just crack it up. And Elise will just be like, "What are they doing? I don't know what that."
Who is that? I'm sitting over here talking like this about making Jaws 40 years ago in Martha's Vineyard. I remember every moment hanging out with Steven Spielberg.
Elise is just like,
the shark is not working. The shark is not working now.
We're like Jaws, Shark, Steven Spielberg.
But she has a brilliant sense of humor, though, because she was the one that gave me the fan, and I said, "What's this symbol on there?" And she says, "It's nothing." And I said, "Oh, okay, you don't want to talk about it." No. It's nothing. It means nothing. So she gave me a little fan with the word nothing on it. Maybe that's what she feels about me. I don't know.
It's cool.
I love it, though.
It's cool to hear you guys love impersonations, because I run a community, and we have like a couple, like maybe 100 voice actors who all do impersonations of different
And that's
voices.
great.
So I think
Stuff like that's awesome. I totally encourage stuff like that.
All right, guys.
Thanks, brother. Thank you, man.
Thank you very much for all the questions. Sorry, guys. They're waving us off the stage, which is completely unfortunate, but I want to make sure that the cast can check in with at least one last final thought for you.
Hey, so let's just say what's maybe some projects we're working on, if you guys.
Oh.
Sure. We'll start over here, and then we'll just over there, and we'll end it. What do you...
Jen.
I know. Oh my God.
You're on
what
the
am I
spot.
gonna I know. What else? What am I talking about? Look for a movie called Cruise on iTunes.
I saw it. It's
And-
fantastic. It's fantastic.
So you should check that out. And I'm not at liberty to say the other two things that I'm working on, but you'll know soon.
Awesome.
So I know, but that's super fun.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
2019 on Netflix is the reboot of Carmen Sandiego. Where's Carmen Sandiego? And so with Gina Rodriguez as Carmen, and I am Shadow San. I'm one of the tutors at the Spy Academy.
Amazing.
If the editing gods are good to me, you should see me on season 2 of Big Little Lies, I think next year. And there's a new show Jordan Peele executive produced. It's called Weird City. Watch for that. I think that'll be on Facebook, or no, RedTube Premium.
I'm afraid I have signed NDAs and I'm not allowed to speak about the projects that I'm working on. I'm sorry, I cannot comment further.
I'm in a similar boat. It's blatantly obvious that I worked on something recently. So I'm really excited to talk about that. And then We're a Live Frontier, produced by Project Alpha, Geek and Sundry, same people who do Critical Role. We just started season 2, so that's live right now on Project Alpha with all Critical Role. Check that out. As well as I think they announced a Gretsuko season 2 for next year also. I'm stoked about that.
Right, guys, big round of applause for the cast
Thank
of
you,
Overwatch.
guys.
Thank you, Jen,
Thank
Paul,
you.
Theodore, Chris,
Don't
Josh.
forget to vote.